Okay. So, a couple days ago, the All Star fan return the second wave of the All Star fan returns came back, and this year they're doing positionless voting. So there's gone are the days of centers sneaking into the All Star starting lineup when they don't really deserve it, and there's not really any weird. There's no Zaza Pachulias this year. There's not any bad names that are near the top. I think, especially in the West, it's pretty good. The top five, really, the top 6 or 7 are pretty good. In the East, I have a couple of small issues with it, but for the most part, everything is pretty good, and there's still a ways to go before anything needs to be finalized. But uh, I'm gonna start. Let's start with the East. So for the East, I think the one lock is Giannis, just because he's maybe the third best player in the league this season behind Jokic and Shea. Yeah, 29.5 points, 10 rebounds. I mean, he's doing insane. Um, Jaylen Brown is also kind of like a fringe MVP candidate just because the Celtics are impressing. He's averaging 30. He's having a monster season to this point. I mean, I don't think he's a legitimate MVP candidate by any means, but I think he's a fringe candidate and worthy of being a starter in the Eastern Conference. So Giannis and Jaylen Brown for sure. Tyrese Maxey is averaging over 30 and 7.1 assists, 4.6 rebounds. I think, yeah, he's leading the East in scoring. Top two scorers in the league are Luka and Shea. He's third, so he's the top scorer in the East. So kind of hard to ignore him. Based off of votes, Jalen Brunson is second, Cade is fourth, Donovan Mitchell is fifth. I don't think. I mean, it's really close. I think I prefer between Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, and Cade Cunningham. If you can only pick one of those three, I would pick Cade because he's second in the league in assists, 9.7 a game. He's only behind Jokic in assists. So I think you kind of have to pick. You have to add him. So then Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson. You could add one of those. We've already got Giannis, Jaylen Brown, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey. I kind of think Jalen Johnson deserves to be the fifth spot. He's averaging a few less points per game, 23.5, but 8.3 assists and 10.3 rebounds. He's pretty much he's the closest to averaging a triple double that's not Jokic. He's just having a monster season. I think he deserves the recognition. So for me, I think that's my Eastern Conference squad. Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, Giannis, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Johnson. For the West, the locks are Jokic. He's leading the league in assists and rebounds, and he's averaging 30. I mean, he's just like one of the greats of all time. Shea also, even though the Thunder have been struggling a little bit recently, he's averaging 32 a game. He's almost 50, 40, 90. He's a monster, second best player in the world. So Jokic and Shea are easy. Then there's sort of a cluster of a few different players. Steph, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama, and then maybe Kawhi. But Kawhi, he's on the Clippers. The Clippers are terrible. They're playing better more recently, but he can't be considered as a starter in the West when the Clippers are that bad. But I think Luka is leading. Here, let's go to the stats. Luka is leading the West in points per game, 33.7. He's played 28 games, a little bit less than some of these guys. my two issues with him compared to the elite players in the West. So, I mean, obviously Luka, you'd probably say is the third, fourth, or fifth best player in the league. So this is just based off of their seasons to this point. It's not based off of a reflection of how good I think the players are. But his season to this point, 28 games played, leading the league in scoring, but 46.3 field goal percentage, 31.6 from three. 46.3 field goal percentage, you have to go down to, I'm guessing, James Harden. Let's see. 46.5, get kind of, yeah, so 46.3, 43.1, James Harden. So of the top 17 scorers in the NBA, Luka Doncic is leading all of them, but he also has the lowest field goal percentage. So, like, I'm not saying he's chucking, but he is just less efficient than all these other people. And, yeah, he's averaging 8.8 assists, 8 rebounds, 1.6 steals. His plus minus is 1.5, which also is lower. Of the top 10 scorers, he has the lowest plus minus. So the lowest efficiency, the lowest plus minus, and other than Giannis, the least amount of games played. So there's actually a lot of reasons as of this point in time to not have him over Anthony Edwards or Steph Curry. But I think it's close. And so, and Anthony Edwards has the tiebreaker over Steph because his numbers are very similar, but he is playing for a team that has more wins. Steph Curry, he's on this trap with the Warriors where he's playing incredibly well, but they're basically barely above 500, and they're kind of like an 8 seed. So I think Anthony Edwards has the nod over Steph. You've got Shea, Jokic, and Anthony Edwards. Wembanyama, let's go back here. To get down to Wembanyama in scoring, you have to go all the way to 23rd. But great efficiency, 52%. He's got a plus minus of 8, which is higher than just about every single one of these players minus Jokic and probably, Shea. But of all these guys we're talking about, Wembanyama is third in plus minus. He's scoring a little bit less, but he's averaging 2.9 blocks a game. He's clearly the best defensive player in the league with very respectable offensive talent too. So I think you have to add him as a starter. So you've got Shea, Jokic, Anthony Edwards, and Victor Wembanyama. So then it kind of comes down to me to a Steph Curry versus a Luka Doncic question. And Steph has the edge efficiency over Luka. Steph has the edge in plus minus over Luka. Luka has the edge in kind of like counting numbers. He's averaging more points, more assists, and more rebounds than Steph. But I think efficiency and plus minus kind of matter a little bit more to me. But then also Luka has the edge in record. It's kind of a toss-up. It feels weird to leave Luka off, but also, it kind of feels equally as weird to leave Steph off. So I think as of this moment, I would probably lean Steph. And, actually, I think I would lean Luka. Yeah, I would lean Luka, but I think it's like a razor-thin margin between Luka and Steph. And I think these next few weeks will kind of determine who deserves it more. Although, if we're being honest, they're both going to start because 50% of the fan vote is considered. And if Luka is the number one vote getter in the West, he's going to get in. And if Steph is number 3, he's going to probably get in too. So really, Anthony Edwards is probably the guy who's shit out of luck among these 3, because I don't see any, coaches or players not voting for Wembanyama. So I think if I were to predict who's most likely to get in, it's probably going to be Luka, Jokic, Steph, Shea, and Wembanyama. So just the top 5 in the West. And then in the East, unfortunately, Jalen Johnson won't get in. It's probably going to be, I would say more people are selecting Jaylen Brown than Donovan Mitchell in terms of media panel and stuff. So it might be Giannis, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Cade Cunningham, and Jaylen Brown. But it's going to be close. But, yeah, that would be, I think that would be my starting 5 in each one. And we have plenty of time, so a lot of this can change pretty quickly. But also, with Trae Young officially traded in Atlanta, I think Jalen Johnson is going to continue to go off and just be running that offense, and he's just going to be really good for the rest of the year. So those are my votes.